Hi, welcome back to Dandelion Dreams Homestead. I am Erica and today we're going to propagate some blackberry bushes. So to propagate blackberry bushes is basically taking from our current blackberry bushes and creating new growth from those. As you can see behind me, we have quite a few blackberry bushes in this area, and luckily these are our thornless blackberry bushes. We have blackberries growing basically all over our whole wooded area, and there are tons of them, but everywhere else they're full of thorns, and those things hurt like heck when you're trying to pick blackberries. We of course still go around and pick them, but if we can get a larger supply of these blackberries, that would be ideal. These are huge blackberries and they're super juicy and super sweet, and we really love these ones. So we want to actually take the blackberry bushes that are here and we want to move them to their new location that's going to be up front. As you can see, blackberries grow like crazy. They just keep making new roots and they just keep making new growth all over, and they'll just take over. So I think what used to be here was a nice line of blackberries has now turned into this huge mass area of blackberries, which is awesome, except for the fact that we can only pick on the outside of the blackberries. We have a lot of snakes here in Missouri. We've already actually relocated 3 black rat snakes, which are theoretically harmless, but still super creepy. And with the black snakes come the copperheads, and those are very poisonous. So we never want to go in here into this high brush area that we really can't see because we don't know what else is in there. So it's almost like all of this is almost just a waste. So we are hoping to get some of these blackberries, move them, and have them in nice manicured lines up front that we can keep maintained very well. Then eventually we'll probably come in here and weed whack all through here to create a nice path so we can get a little bit more of those blackberries. Now it is already super hot and humid here. Like if you've seen any of our videos, you know that it's been like snowing every other day. Well, last week we had tons of rain and tons of flooding, and now this week it's been 90 degrees with 60% humidity, so it's super hot and humid. So I'm trying to get out here early before it gets even worse and get this job done. So I've never propagated blackberries before, so disclaimer, we are just trying it to see how it goes. We're going to try 2 different methods and see which one works better, so that in the future we can even move even more of them with what works best. So now if you watched our videos last spring, we did not get a garden in the ground, so we did bucket gardening, where we took 5-gallon buckets, filled it with a bunch of our topsoil, and then we also did some with potting soil and grew in those. The ones with potting soil, the soil was not great and the water would not absorb, so none of those plants actually took off. But the ones that we use our topsoil, we have big piles of dirt everywhere from when they built the house. So we just used some of that in the buckets, and those ones, the plants grew really great until I stopped watering them. So between me not watering them and the birds just eating everything, the garden really didn't take off. But since the soil was so great, we decided just to take those buckets and mix up the dirt, and that's what we're going to use to propagate some of these blackberry bushes. Then eventually we'll move them to the new location. So that's what we're going to try out first. When blackberry shoots grow, they grow really long and tall, and then they slowly just kind of fall over. And then apparently what they do is when the top touches the ground, it will then create roots into the ground and create a new growth of blackberries. And then all of these little leaves areas can grow into branches, is what the research I've read says. So this plan is to rip off a bunch of these leaves right here, and then we're going to plant this into the dirt, and this will create its own root system. And after about a month, when this has a good root system, then we'll just chop it off, and then we'll have a new blackberry plant. So that's what we're gonna try. Apparently when you pull off these stems, I'm gonna leave, I think, the bottom one on, but then I'm going to rip these ones off. When you rip these off, it apparently causes like an injury to the plants, an opening, and that's what creates a space for the roots to grow out. So, and the peacocks are over here eating everything I throw down. Okay. This one looks like it's already dead. It's not growing any leaves this year, so I don't know if it's dead or if it didn't. It looks, I don't know, it looks dead. Okay. I would like to try to do 2 in one pot, but I don't know if I can find one close enough. This one might have already grown its own root system, so. Okay, well I guess that one's gonna be 1. We'll try for 2 in this one. I have to be careful because there are thorned blackberry bushes mixed in on this side. I definitely don't want to propagate more of those. So, the other issue I'm running into is finding a spot where our dog Ranger isn't going to come over because he loves to chew up the 5-gallon buckets. So, we're really close to our invisible fence right here, the line. So I'm hoping he won't come over here. Okay, I just want to show you real quick. We have this blackberry shoot right here, and we follow it all the way down. We find that it has planted itself down there and has created its own root system. And then if you look back up here, we have new stems growing. So I guess the research is correct and we are doing exactly what we should be doing. Okay, so I found a spot that has a couple vines close by. Alright, here's one that we're going to try. I'm going to leave this bottom growth on because I can't remember if I'm supposed to take it off or not. I figure the roots will grow up here if this one doesn't take root. And then I have this nice long one right here. Okay, so hopefully that will give us 3 new plants to start with. I'm gonna bring some more buckets over and find other spots that I can do the same thing with. But first we're gonna move on to our second method. Now I read about this method a couple months ago and I can't find anything else on it again. So I'm hoping that it actually still works. But like I said, we're just doing trial and error and we're gonna see what works. Now this method has us actually lopping off part of the actual stem. We are going to find a vine and we're going probably in the middle where we're not actually we don't want to kill any of the blackberries that are actually going to produce for us this year. And the stuff in the middle we're not going to be able to really get to by the time blackberries start growing. So we're going to go into the middle, watch out for snakes, and we're going to cut off the tops of some of the vines. And we're going to go about, I think it said 6 to 8 inches, and we're going to keep some leaves on the top, and then we're going to put the bottom part in water, and hopefully a new root system will grow in the water that we can then pot or plant right into the ground. This actually looks like a new stem from one that already propagated itself. We're just going to lop it off. This side we're going to keep. This side we're going to rip off the leaves. Just like that. And we're going to put it in our water. I'm just going to put it in a bucket for right now, and then we're going to bring it inside and put it into mason jars in the window so it gets lots of sun, lots of water, and we don't have to worry about the birds coming to eat it or the dog. I'm gonna try different lengths and see if it matters or not. Drop any. We got quite a few. We are going to be sharing these with our in-laws as well. So, and I don't know how many of these will propagate, if any. So, okay. Luckily, I have a lot of these wide mouth canning jars that my grandma gave me, so that's what I'm going to use. Hopefully that's enough water. If not, we'll just add more if they don't reach. I'm going to try to evenly distribute them. But I'm also going to try to keep like the really thick ones together. So, because those are the ones we cut from like the middles. So we can remember this one right here. Super thick. This one is super long like that. We might have to cut this one down. Alright, so these have 2. So we have about 2 in each. I'm gonna do 3. Okay. There we go. So we're gonna put them in the windowsill and we'll watch them for the next couple days or weeks and see what happens. And fingers crossed, they will grow roots, and then we can plant them in front when their root system is large enough to actually sustain and stand up in the soil. Well, you guys, now that the blackberries are all propagated and hopefully growing some roots, figured we'd take you around real quick and give you some updates. We've obviously had quite a few things going on in our past videos that you guys are probably all waiting to see how those projects are going. So we're gonna go over here to the emu pens first. Now, as you know, we got 2 heifers. They're over there in the emu shelter. But since we can't feed the emus with them in there because they'll eat it, we have to move them to this middle pen where Edwina is laying on his eggs. So we've had to put up a little fence. We just did some electric netting just to keep the cows away because Edwina was getting very upset about the cows being in here, and then he kept getting up off his nest. I sectioned this part off just for Edwina. So now that we have that net up, the cows can't get in here. Edwina's been much happier. But he was getting pretty aggressive. At one point we had some emus in here and he was chasing them around and attacking them. Got Becky pretty good. And then he also snapped at Raymond a few times. But since we've sectioned it off again, he's gone back to his calm self and we can pet him again without him attacking us. So based off the first day that Edwina started laying on his nest, today is probably the day that they will start hatching, but we don't know for sure. Today would be day 50 of him laying on the first 3 to 4 eggs. He did stand up and we saw that there are 7 eggs under there, so we'll see when they start hatching and what exactly happens. With chickens and ducks, they typically sit on the eggs once they start hatching, and then they only sit for a couple more days, and whatever eggs haven't hatched, they just kind of abandon. So it'll be interesting since he added an egg every 3 days to his nest. So that last egg is like 9 to 12 days from when he started sitting. Any babies? You have any babies under there? Feel eggs still. Don't feel any cracks in the eggs. You have any babies? So, as far as we can tell, no babies yet. Update number 2 are the Silky chicks. We had about 48 Silky eggs in the incubator, and we had some Easter eggers that had been breeding with the Silkies as well. So we put a few of their eggs in. But since we started putting them in as soon as we started getting eggs, some of them weren't fertile yet because it was like the first few eggs that they had ever laid. So out of the 48 we put in, there was about 20 that were developing. Now these ones went to my daughter's school to hatch, so I think between transporting them to the school at the end, and then flooding, and then having to bring them home early, and all that goes with that, we did not get very many. Looks like we have about 10 that wound up hatching out. So these ones are going to be going for sale, some Silkies, and then some barnyard mix Easter eggers. Alright, the big incubator. We did fill up another tray, and we put that one at the bottom just a couple days ago, and that is full of duck and turkey eggs. We had guinea eggs in the middle, we had some chicken eggs in there, and then we had more ducks and turkeys. Now the only ones I candled at about 7 days, which really should wait till about day 10. But on day 7, only 5 out of 20 of the turkey eggs were fertile and developing. So I need to candle them again. And I probably will wait to do that until we go to put them into the brooder, just because it takes so long to candle each one. I just felt like it was getting way too cold in for the other eggs, and I don't want to risk the development of the other eggs. But we did just move the chicken eggs over to the hatcher because their time was up. They're the shortest incubation period. If you remember, we had these brown eggs and we weren't sure what they were. They kind of felt like duck eggs, but they were brown. We figured they were chicken. So I just set them in here as chicken eggs just in case. And this morning, we did have one hatch. There he is. So we are keeping this brooder closed because we don't want to cause any shrink wrapping. We want the humidity to stay high. There's his shell. So we're going to keep it closed to see if any more hatch. Then we filled this incubator up, so we have all of our emus that are going to hatch out of these have hatched. So this incubator has been filled up with mostly guinea eggs, and we tossed a few duck eggs that we couldn't fit into that big brooder into here, and then a few chicken eggs from the barnyard mixes. Alright, so along with all the eggs in the incubators, along with all those eggs in the incubator, we've also had a broody hen. One of our bantams went broody, and she would not get off the empty nest. So we decided to put some guinea eggs under her. Let's go look. Oh, looks like she's been replaced by the Rhode Island Red. So the problem with them going broody in here is that the bigger chickens kick them off the nest so that they can lay an egg. So that's what this one's doing right now. Then we had a broody Silky. She kept laying on an egg over in the corner. So I just wound up bringing more guinea eggs out here and putting her on. But it looks like she's sharing the nest right now with another Silky who is, again, laying an egg. So we keep having to collect non-guinea eggs out from under the chickens that are broody. I need to just put up a curtain right here so that the other chickens will leave them alone. We'll come back and check them after these two are done laying. Here's our broody mama right there. She's waiting patiently to get back on her nest. Alright, our baby emus. So out of all of our eggs that we got, we hatched out these 4 blondes. These 2 are our boys that we're going to keep for breeding ourselves. And those 2 little ones are getting DNA testing done. And those will be for sale. And then over here we have 4 standard chicks. We had 3 standard chicks hatch, and then also 2 more blondes that go with the 2 small ones on the other pen. But these brooders are getting dirty so fast. We're having to clean them out a few times a week, and look how dirty they already are. So we are going to be putting in for their DNA sexing and getting these sold to people who are on the waiting list. We will be making a video to teach you guys how to sex your emus, how to go about getting the DNA sexing if you are here in the United States, to help you out. We also had 2 more blondes that hatched. If you remember our first blonde that hatched, she sold, and then a baby sold with her because she was just super stressed about having a partner or a friend. So we sold those 2 to get together already. They are happy in their new homes. Most people might not know this, that emus love water. Jack's not so sure about it though, I guess. So typically we fill up these kiddie pools with water for them, but we do have the 2 with the hurt legs. And honestly, we're having to dump these once or twice a day because they're so dirty, and just fill them with tons of buckets of water. So we actually just went and got some sprinklers and some long hoses, and we have those spraying them off right now, and they seem to be loving it. We'll let those go for just about 20-30 minutes or so at a time. Let them cool off and enjoy some cool water. Alright, as you remember, we were working on our pasture fencing and we got this line done. That is still all that has gotten done, because if you remember when we started doing this line, we were doing it between thunderstorms and lightning storms, and it really didn't stop raining since then. So for the past 2 weeks, it's just been tons of rain and thunder and lightning, flooding. So hopefully this weekend we'll get to get that done, because as you can see, we really need the cows in here to eat this field down. It is growing so tall. It'll be great that Raymond won't have to mow this with the tractor, and that it is free food for our cows. Speaking of our cows, which they are actually called Heifers because they have not had a baby yet. After they've calved for the first time, then they are officially cows. We have Abigail. This one's Maggie. The one in the back is Abigail. And they are less skittish they come to us and we can move them from field to field or from pen to pen without any problems. And when they're eating, they'll let us pet them a little bit, but then they do kind of back off. They don't love it yet. Once we get this new pasture fenced in, then we can put up cement in a post and we can start halter training them and brushing them and all that, where they can't just run away, so that they can get used to it. But they're doing great. They're doing great with the emus. They will be old enough for us to breed them in about another month, but we'll see how they are as far as taming them by then. Luckily they get along well with the emus. That way they can stay in here and eat the grass down in this pen in the meantime. At night we do move them into the middle pen, like I showed you before with the fencing up. That way the emus can eat in here. They're just loving that sprinkler. There's Georgina, our deformed emu. See, she walks kind of weird. Her head's kind of moving to the side of her body. But we love her and her quirkiness. If you remember, we have two emus that have twisted legs. Their legs twisted when they were probably about 8 months old due to some rainstorms and some really squelchy mud. Both of them got hurt. And each time we have a lot of rain and squelchy mud, it gets a little bit worse. So as you can imagine, all this flooding and all the nonstop rain has not helped them. So Becky and especially Kevin really aren't doing that great. But they're still getting through. They don't seem to be in pain. Just a little bit slower. But Becky seems to enjoy being in this run with Jack here. Hey, Jack. Jack's getting nice and big. He can now officially peck me on the top of my head. Isn't that right, Jack? Alright, over here it's kind of dark. As you can see, Dewey, one of our Muscovy ducks, is sitting on her nest of eggs. She found this nice half-buried bucket, surrounded by weeds that she's been happily nesting in. And she is a great mama. Now at night we just move the cinder block right in front of the bucket so that raccoons and our dog does not disturb her or eat her. So, although the other night when we came out here, this was all covered in weeds and I saw a pretty good sized rat snake right there trying to get into her nest. Luckily we spotted it and we were able to relocate it somewhere else in the forest, but we did kind of clean this area up a little bit, pulled some of the weeds back so we can have better access and a better view to make sure there are no more. We have recently had 2 of our birds go missing. Our little tiny bantam squeakers, super cute, super small, she has disappeared. And then also our other Muscovy female Sunshine, she also disappeared. Now we found a nest right under a tree under some big roots of duck eggs, but we watched it for like 3 days and nothing came back to it. So we're not sure if those 2 birds got taken by a predator or what happened with them. We are really hoping that they are just here underneath our feed trailer. And we think that squeakers might be under there, but we're not sure about Sunshine since we did find that other nest. But we have our fingers crossed that in a few more days or a couple weeks, they will emerge with baby chicks. We'll have to wait and see. Alright. It's been a while and these two are still on the nests. What is going on? Well, as long as someone is brooding on his eggs, that's all that really matters, I guess. Alright, here's Mama Bunny Honey. If you saw, she just had, I believe it was 5 or 6 babies, and we sold all those pretty quickly and had a lot of people wanting more. But, so we put them back together, and it should be about time for her to start getting her nest ready for more babies. And we haven't seen her pulling any fur yet. Just keeping an eye on it to see whether or not she'll have more. All right, I think I remembered all the unfinished video updates. If there's something I forgot or there's something else you want to know about the homestead, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. We'll try to touch on that in the next video. And as always, if you don't already, please like and subscribe to us so you can keep up to date on what's happening. And hopefully Edwina's eggs will hatch soon and you guys can see how that goes. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.